Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Andrew and you're watching The Riff Notebook. Today, I'm going to be counting down my top 15 favorite albums of 2016. 2016 was a bit of an odd year for me music-wise, and during the first portion of the year, there were a lot of albums I was looking forward to that ended up being letdowns, and other albums I wasn't looking forward to that just ended up being plain awful. But during the middle portion of the year, we started getting more and more releases that really started to save the year. Now here in December, I have 15 albums that I can't wait to talk to you guys about. So without further ado, let's get this list started with number 15. This album sadly marks the end of a legacy, as it is the last album by the highly influential progressive metal band Dillinger Escape Plan. But man, did they go out on a high note. This album really encapsulates everything that this band has ever been. Throughout this album, you of course get their trademark in-your-face technical prowess on songs like Limerick Death, Honeysuckle, and Manufacturing Discontent. But they also showcase a lighter side of themselves too on songs like Symptom of Terminal Illness and the closing title track. If you haven't gotten into this band yet, now is your chance, and do be sure to catch them live on their final tour. This year was my first time listening to the band Textures, and I must say, I was very impressed with this new album, Phenotype. I had heard the lead single New Horizons when this album first came out, but although I loved that song, I didn't get around to listening to the full album until later in the year. When I finally did listen to the album all the way through, the explosive kickoff track Oceans Collide immediately found favor with me, and is now probably my favorite song on this album next to New Horizons. I should also give mention to the closing track Timeless, which really ends this album leaving you pondering on what you just heard, maybe even compelling you to go back for another listen, and another, and another. This was a pleasant surprise this April after having just heard a string of disappointing and bad albums. But who would have thought one of the first gems of the year would come from Filter, a band that hasn't seen its prime in almost 20 years. I originally had no plans to listen to this album, but I watched an interview where Richard Patrick was receiving very high praise for it, and so I thought I'd give it a shot. I was immediately blown away by the visceral opening track, Mother E. And the rest of the album did not fail to disappoint either. This is a fantastic album. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't yet. You can pretty much always expect Meshuggah to deliver when they release a new album. This is the heaviest album I've heard all year, and probably longer. They're definitely living up to their name as the Godfathers of Djent by delivering us an album full of heavy, pummeling riffs that don't let up for even a minute. But that's not to say that's all this album has to offer. We have some atmospheric elements at the end of Born in Dissonance, as well as some fantastic leads on songs like Clockworks, Stifled, and Monstrosity. This is a great album, but there was actually an album released on the same day as this one that I like just a little bit more. Show me a little bit, whoa, compromise. I knew great things were going to come from this new Alter Bridge project as soon as I heard the lead single Show Me a Leader, and my eager expectations were rewarded with a fantastic concept album that takes you on a long, winding musical journey through harder metal edge tracks to soft ballads, all the way to the epic closing title track. Now, due to the conceptual nature of this disc, this is probably an album that you'll need to listen to several times over again before you can properly digest it and really grasp the concept of it. I highly suggest you do so, though. This is the kind of stuff I can just eat up with a spoon. This album is by far the best of Opeth's post-death metal era, and I think it's even won over a lot of fans who were unhappy with their new style. Although I did enjoy Heritage and Pale Communion, I love seeing the heavier riffs return on songs like the title track, The Wildflowers, and Chrysalis. But the biggest strength of this album comes in the track Strange Brew, where they mix both of their styles together into this epic 8-minute track that ebbs and flows from calm to heavy in this perfect balance of a song. I think this disc will achieve a high ranking among favorite Opeth albums for many of their fans. Far in the distant future, beyond the pages of our time, This album probably wouldn't have achieved nearly as high of a ranking on my list if I hadn't got the chance to see them perform the entirety of it live. That experience really brought a whole new life to this album, really helping me to further appreciate both the musicality and the storytelling of it. I would recommend reading the lyrics along with this album, as it will help you grasp the story better by showing you who's speaking dialogue at that moment and what's going on between the different characters. I won't be including any songs from this album on my top 50 songs of the year list, as this album is really best digested as a whole rather than as separate songs. If you haven't gotten the chance to catch Dream Theater live yet, it is an experience I highly recommend. This album was dangerously close to not making my list, as I actually just discovered this band 2 weeks ago. But that was all the time I needed to know that they had to be included. I would describe this band's sound as a mix of Dream Theater with some added djent elements. They frequently step into the territory of 10-minute plus songs on this album, such as High Kite Ride, Venus, Down Will Come Baby, and I. And those are the songs that really showcase that this band has the potential to become one of the greatest progressive metal bands of this decade. Since it took me as long as it did to discover this band, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this video that haven't heard them either, so please, do yourself a favor, check out this album. Was there ever any doubt that this album would be one of the best of the year? Animals' leader seems pretty incapable of releasing a dud. They have opted for a new style on this new record, going for a more ambient feel over the harsher, djent-filled riffs of their previous albums. That's not to say the harsh riffs aren't there, as they can still be found in songs like the unpronounceable track number 7 and the intense breakdown on Private Visions of the World. Don't look over those ambient moments though, as songs like The Brain Dance and Apeirophobia can really help to relax you and put you in a better mood, all the while still showcasing just why it is that Tosin Abasi is my favorite guitar player of all time. This progressive rock album finds itself going back to the very roots of the genre, taking a lot of influence from progressive rock bands of the 80s such as Yes and Genesis. But Hacken also puts their own personal spin on this style and creates songs unlike anything you've ever heard before. Don't believe me? Just check out the 15-minute masterpiece that is The Architect, and that is all the proof I need for why this is one of the best albums of 2016. This is it, my first love of 2016, the album that broke the seemingly endless string of bland, mediocre albums being put out at the beginning of the year. Gore is definitely your quintessential Deftones album, as it really encapsulates every style that this band is known for, from the softer, more ethereal tracks such as Prayers and Triangles, to the vicious, out-of-control moments like the title track Gore. Then finally there is the magnum opus of this record, Phantom Bride, which features an entrancing guest solo from Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains. I don't think there's a Deftones fan in the world that was disappointed with how this album turned out, and that definitely includes myself. Chevelle have been one of my favorite bands for the past 11 years, and they never cease to amaze me with each record they put out. For their 8th studio album, their fans challenged them to go heavier than they ever have before, and with the exception of Wonder What's Next, I think they've done just that. The intense lead single Joyride Omen was released on my birthday, and I'll tell you what, I could not have asked for a better present that day. Once the full album was finally released, I was even further blown away by the fantastic opening track Door to Door Cannibals, which is now one of my favorite Chevelle songs of all time. This band means worlds to me, and I am so glad to see the success that they've achieved over the years. I can't believe we're living in a world now where Periphery is a Grammy-nominated artist, but I tell you, they fully deserve the ever-growing fan base that they've achieved over the years. I was a little worried about the direction this new album was going to go after hearing The Price Is Wrong, but I'm happy to say that was easily the weakest song on the record, and it only continues to get better and better with each track until we get all the way to Loon, which is close to being my favorite Periphery song of all time. If you've maybe only listened to The Price Is Wrong because of its Grammy nomination, please check out the rest of the album. I promise it only gets better from there.
For every dream that is left behind me, I take a bow with every one.
It was a long, hard-fought neck-and-neck battle between the last two albums on my list for the top spot. But the one that ultimately came down to number 2 was The Fall of Hearts by Katatonia. Words cannot describe how much I love this album. There is not a dull moment on here. Each song is just as good as the last. Picking out least favorites on here is impossible. And picking out favorites from my top 50 songs of the year list was excruciating. I guess there's not really much more to say about this album other than please listen to it. Listen to this album. If you listen to nothing else this year, please give them a try. Listen to this whole band's discography, especially the last 4 albums, and you'll see that this band only continues to get better with age. I cannot wait to hear what these guys release next.
Time to open your eyes to the genocide.
This is it, everyone. Album of the year. And from another one of my favorite bands that has been nominated for not 1, but 2 Grammy Awards. When I first heard the song Stranded back in May, I was excited. When I heard the song Silvera later on, I was ecstatic. And when I finally got to hear the whole album, I was elated. Say what you will about this band going soft, I like hearing them try out some new sounds. If you can honestly say that the track Lowlands is terrible just because it's not as heavy as their others, you need to take a good hard look at your opinions on music. In my opinion, this album stands as a valuable member among Gojira's impeccable discography. So, there you have it. Magma by Gojira is the Riff Notebooks Album of the Year. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what your favorite albums of 2016 were. Now remember, just because your favorite album of 2016 didn't make my list doesn't mean I didn't like it. It probably just means I haven't heard it yet. So feel free to suggest to me more music I should listen to. Now I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and please come back to see my top 50 favorite songs of 2016.